Welcome, guys. We are here at week two of the Global Racing League Arca series. Week two, we are here racing at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And I'll tell you what, guys, this is a very good track. Very hard racing as we see. Oh, we see two guys racing hard as well. And so now, as we go into qualifying, guys, I want to take a moment to bring up the grid here, guys. And looks like there is oval qualifying. And I will take default for that one, guys, for the oval qualifying. But hey, we'll have these guys still get out there, run these laps, and we'll go from there. So one guy I really want to take a look at today in this race, and who's looking for a really good bounce back, I would like to say is Stephen Hayes. He had a rough race last week at Daytona, and hopefully he'll be able to bounce back here and put on a good show for us. So expect him. Now another driver to be on the lookout for is his brother, Michael Hayes, who put on a phenomenal qualifying as he's rejoining the track for this unplanned open qualifying. And expect him to be a very strong competitor. He came away with a top three finish last week at Daytona after we thought he was down and out, and he looked at them racing alongside his brother, and he's gonna let his brother go by. And so, first place who we have now, we have Tyler Honeycutt as he's coming down pit road. Good job with a 29.953. Tyler is always a really fast driver, and I expect Tyler to put on a strong showcase this season going into trucks. Because Tyler is a very talented driver. And let's see what he can put together this season, and if he can transition that into trucks. And next we have Mark Sherwood, and Mark Sherwood is another talented driver that we look to have a stronger finish. I know he's looking to have a top five finish today and get back into that point standings. And we have the big bad Chase Albright. He did a phenomenal job last week at at Daytona when he was teamed up, locked bumper to bumper with JJ McCoy, and he had a really big part in getting JJ McCoy that top three. So He did a really good job. And last week's winner, Donnie Honeycutt, who put on a phenomenal race, came back after he struggled through some adversity when he got into it with DJ Honeycutt going down pit road, but he was able to come back and win the race, and that was a phenomenal win from him. And then we always like to go ahead and take a look at Ron Harrington. He's looking to get another top 5 finish. He finished 5th last week as he's coming down pit road, getting that practice in. And now, guys, that will do it for qualifying, guys. So we will go through it here shortly. That race order. So let's show this official grid. And the official grid will be Tyler Honeycutt in first, Stephen Hayes in second, Michael Hayes in third, Tanner, new driver, Coster, in fourth place, making his debut race. We have Danny White in fifth, Bobby Mantle in sixth, seventh is going to be Chad McGinley, eighth is going to be Justin LeBlanc, our 2023 Global Racing Truck Series champion, and then 9, I tell you what, Carlos Enriquez has been phenomenal as he has a top 10 within top 10 qual. And then we have last week's winner, Donnie Honeycutt, followed by JJ McCoy, and followed by Dale Ross, and then 12th place is going to be JJ McCoy. And then after that, we're going to have in 12th place, JJ McCoy. 13th place, Josh Kirsch. 14th place, John Howard. 15th place, Mark Sherwood. 16th place, Chase Albright. 17th place, Michael Dow. 18th place, Dwayne Honeycutt. 19th place, Ron Harrington. 20th place, Alexander Cohen, and 21st, Stephen Knight. And I'll tell you what, guys, there's one thing about this track. This track is going to bring a lot of fun racing, guys. I'll tell you that. And it's going to be a very fun time for all these guys. Seeing how they're able to maneuver around this track, and having these drivers get a feel for each other. And that's just going to be the biggest thing for these guys, is can they get a good feel for each other. And racing around this pack racing. And this will be a good one. 100 laps at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I'll tell you what, this is one of my favorite tracks, because one thing about this track is the key to look out for is that driver who knows how to save tires. If a driver can save his tire, I guarantee you he will push to the front. And let's see the racecraft that comes out tonight from these guys as we approach that restart zone, as we go green for the first time. And Michael Hayes almost gets directly into Tyler Honeycutt, and Stephen Hayes with a huge run on the outside. He's going to get a huge run going into turn 1, and I guarantee you, if he makes that turn right, he will have the preferred line coming out of turn. He will have a huge run coming out of turn 2, and Tyler keeps up with Stephen Hayes, and he will have the preferred line going into turn 3. And I'll tell you what. And as you see, guys, we're getting spread out a lot here on the first lap. But I'll tell you what, these guys are still racing hard. Stephen Hayes is not giving up any slack to Tyler Honeycutt. Tyler Honeycutt with a huge run on the inside going into turn one. And Stephen Hayes will concede defeat, but looks like he's going to cross him over. Stephen Hayes looking to cross Tyler Honeycutt over going into turn three. And these guys, the gloves are off already. And we're only on lap 3. And I know Michael Hayes is just sitting back there just loving it. That's what you want to see at third place. You want to see those top 2 guys burning up their tires. And then you'll be able to make your run on the later run. And it looks like Stephen Hayes is just going to fall in line. And we're single file racing here, guys. Let's ride along with Michael Hayes. All right, so our top 3, Tyler Honeycutt, Stephen Hayes, and Michael Hayes make out our top 3. Let's go through the rest of the field. In his debut race, Tanner Coster. And I'll tell you what, this guy was fast in a recruitment race that we did earlier this week. And I know he's ready to get his name in the mix with these guys. Bobby Mantle. This is the guy that will take it easy. He is a professional at saving his tires at this track as he's under fire right now from Danny White. Danny White is trying to take it to Bobby Mantle. Oh, and looks like he's going to fall back in line. Danny White's another phenomenal driver as our 6th place driver. Let's see what the race he puts on today, and hopefully he can have a good finish. 7th place, Chad McGinley. Chad McGinley is always a car that will always be there and at the end of the race for contention. He had a rough finish last week, getting involved in a wreck, but he's looking to make a strong rebound this week in points. 8th place, we have Justin LeBlanc, who's under fire by John Howard. John Howard to the inside line. And I'll tell you what, John is really putting it together now. I feel like John's starting to get a feel for these cars. He was very active in the recruitment races for Global. And I'll tell you what, he's starting to get a good feel for this car. And hopefully he's pushing for a strong finish. And oh, Justin LeBlanc almost to the quarter panel of John Howard. And I'll tell you what, Justin LeBlanc is just under fire because he's being passed now by J.J. McCoy, another strong driver from last week. We had a phenomenal finish in his debut race at Daytona 200. He's taking it right now to Justin LeBlanc. And I'll tell you what, hopefully Justin LeBlanc can figure out what's going on because he's dropping back now. Now we have Josh Kirsch. He's 11th place, looking to have a strong finish this week after he didn't finish. He got wrecked out of the race last week and didn't have such a good finish, but hopefully he can find himself a good top 5, top 10 finish this week. We have Del Ross here racing this week in that beautiful lime green A car. Hopefully he's looking to have a good race this week. Chase Albright is under fire right now, battling for that 12th place position. A huge battle going on here, guys, with Chase Albright, Donnie Honeycutt, and Alexander Cohen. And I'll tell you what, Alexander Cohen is up 6 positions. He has been a rocket here coming up. And oh, he's getting a little loose there. And he's great save by him. And I'll tell you what, the 44 of Mark Sherwood, good job on him checking up. And I'll tell you who's really struggled so far in the beginning of the race, Carlos. Carlos has went down 6 positions from his starting grid. He's now at 15th place. And hopefully, but I can tell you what, with Carlos, he's been putting in a lot of practice for this week, and I know for a fact that he'll get it together and he'll have a good finish. And I forgot to mention, we skipped past Donnie Honeycutt, our last week's winner of the Daytona 200. He's looking to have a strong finish this weekend and have a good points day. As we make our way to Stephen Knight. Stephen Knight, very, very dominant in the trucks. And the only thing is with Stephen Knight, let's just see if Stephen Knight will be able to have strong finishes. Very talented driver and looking to kind of growth his racecraft this season. Michael Dow, the 60 car, looking to have another good finish this week. Ron Harrington, our top 5, our 5th place driver from last week. He was, oh, something happened to Michael Hayes. And oh, he was just a blanking issue. Okay, just making sure. It looks like Michael Hayes, as predicted, has made his way to first. And I'll tell you what, guys. Tyler Honeycutt looks like he's used up all his tires. That's what you don't want to do. When we went on board earlier in the race, just riding along with Michael Hayes, it looked like Tyler was wearing up his rear tires, and that's the thing. Running those hot laps in practice are fine, but you always want to make sure that you know how to run the line to save your tire in the race, and if not, you will lose position. So it looks like Tyler is going on that more conservative route, and it looks like as he's looking like he wants to catch up to Tanner Coster, and we'll see how that goes. As we see John Howard up 6 positions from grid, and he's doing a great job at 8th place as this huge battle's going on here. And I'll tell you what, these guys are all battling hard between Justin the 5th through 11th. This is a huge battle here. As we see Bobby Mantle is making his move on Justin LeBlanc right now. And looking here at Michael Hayes. Michael and Steven are really starting to pull off. These guys are veteran Arca Series drivers, and I'll tell you what, these guys know how to push these cars. They know how to drive them. And they're so comfortable in these Arca cars. And this is how they started. They started in Arca, and these are the veteran drivers. And that's what you expect to see, the veteran drivers making their way up to the front. But with our top 3 right here, Tanner is looking phenomenal in his debut race with the top 3. He's under fire right now by Tyler. Tyler on the inside. Not able to make it stick. I'll tell you what, as the laps go on here, it becomes extremely difficult to pass here. And then you kind of have to change your lines. As you see, these guys are kind of going up to the high line to get some grip and better run off. And we'll see how that changes through the course of this race. But I'll tell you what, these guys are racing very hard back here. It is a huge battle here for these guys. These guys are, oh, I thought almost for a second that John Howard almost had contact with the 35 of Josh Kirsch. As you look at that 98 of Alexander Cohen, he's up 7 positions. Chase Albright's up 4, and I'll tell you what, he's making his way through the field. That's one thing about Chase. He will make his way through the field. I expect him to be more dominant as the race goes on, as he gets a better feel for this car. And I'll tell you what, Michael Hayes is running away with the lead now. And it looks like Tyler Honeycutt was able to get around Tanner Coster. and let's see what he'll be able to do. Looks like Tyler now has it dialed in, and let's see if he's able to run down Michael and Steven on that bottom line. I really feel like that bottom line is the preferred groove. The slower you go, the faster you'll be on the long run. These guys are still racing hard. Uh-oh, the two teammates here in the Truck Series of Ghost Motorsports, Chad McGinley and Bobby Mansell. I tell you what, these guys are always racing around each other. It doesn't matter what track we go to. These guys will always find each other and race each other hard. And that's what I like with teammates. These teammates, they're very respectful racing each other, but they will race each other hard. And that's what I like to see from these guys. And they're still, this pack just cannot seem to get away from each other. Led by Justin LeBlanc. It looks like John Howard is just wedged right now, as I know he wants to get some fresh air. And Carlos has dropped 11 spots down to P20. And it doesn't look like he have any wall damage, but oh, actually he does have damage. He looks like he does hit the wall. Looks like he has damage on his right front. And I'll tell you what, if you knock your camber out, your car is done here. And it just really affects how you, as you can see that damage on his right front. Hopefully when he goes down pit road, he's able to get that damage taken care of. But that's never what you want in the beginning of the race. So now it's going to be an uphill battle for Carlos. As we're riding along with our race winner from last week, Donnie Honeycutt, as you see that he's taking that inside line, and he looks like he's getting a really good run on that inside line. And the one thing that you see, guys, is a lot of these guys are starting to change their line now. A lot of these guys are starting to go up to that top seam now just to get some more grip. Because the longer this run goes on, the more that car will want to snap. As you see, Michael Hayes is just using that high line in 1 and 2. And I'll tell you what, Tyler Honeycutt has found it. He has absolutely found it. He is right up on Stephen Hayes' bumper. And I feel like the next green flag pit stops that we do have, he will build on that. All right, now we see that this pack has finally dispersed it. Uh-oh, Justin LeBlanc barely getting into the wall there. Hopefully he'll be okay. As you see Danny White trying to put some pressure on John Howard. Right now, our biggest mover has to be right now Alexander Cohen. He's up 6 positions from start. Good job on him. as we have Chase Albright in the wall. And I'll tell you what, hopefully he can get it together. He had a dominant race last week, and as he has that right foot damage on his car, it's going to be an uphill battle, but hopefully he can get all that worked out on the green flag pit stops. And we will step aside and we'll crank these engines up. I'll tell you what, guys, this race for the lead is starting to heat up as Tyler Honeycutt has found new life in his tires, and he is hunting down Michael Hayes like a dog. And he's right at his bumper. And he's battling for the lead here, guys. And he's easily going to get by Michael Hayes. Michael Hayes is going to try to give him a run on that hot side going into turn 2. But Tyler's going to put that slide on him. Is he going to block him going into turn? He is going to block going into turn 3. Good move by Tyler. Commanding race by Tyler. And uh-oh, looks like we have Michael Hayes going down pit road. He's going to be going down here. And that's a great move. Once you know that your tires are starting to give up on you, you want to go down pit road. Make sure you don't give up too much time. So that way you have a phenomenal run going on that second stint of the race. Good pit stop, and you have a few more takers. As you have Chase Albright going down pit road. Michael Hayes coming off. And then we have Alexander Cohen. Hopefully he can get some of that damage repaired. And we have some more takers down pit road. Okay, we have Mark Sherwood, Michael Dow, and Ron Harrington down pit road. As we're seeing this first cycle of green flag pit stops take place. And I will tell you what, Tyler Honeycutt has a 2-second gap on second place. Phenomenal race he's putting on. I really thought he lost it. I thought he burned up all his tires, but he was able to find some extra grip on that bottom line, and he hunted down Michael Hayes like a dog. So congratulations to him, and another showing as well for Tanner. I tell you what, in his debut race running P2, he's doing a phenomenal job. And I tell you what about these two guys, man, they're always going to be racing hard together. Bobby Mantle and Chad McGinley. Always going to race each other hard as they get passed by Stephen Hayes, who's on fresher tires. And Chad McGinley coming down pit road here. And he's going to pit on that late stint of the run. And I'll tell you what, Tyler Honeycutt is still out. And who will be the next takers? And we have Carlos coming down pit road. Hopefully he can get some of that damage fixed out and out there and continue his race. And Stephen Hayes getting his lag back the hard way, going around Tyler. I can imagine Tyler's going to be hurting himself now if he doesn't come down pit road. Or is he trying to make it a one-stop race? Or a two-stop race? We will see. That's the goal. Is if you can make it a one-stop race, then that's the goal for these drivers. Because I'm guessing he's gonna wanna run it to the end after this. Will they be able to make it to that 50 lap mark? There's a lot of different strategy going on here as we see Carlos rejoin the track. And let's take a look at Michael Hayes. He's going to work down the track, down his brother Steven, and get back on par. And I'll tell you what, Bobby's starting to close in on Tanner Coster. And it looks like he's running just a little bit higher of a groove than Tanner. And this is going to mean a lot going in on these green flag pit stops. So right now, I believe so, the top 8 has not pitted. And this might be either detrimental or very big positive for these guys come later in the race. So it's very, very, very even split on what these guys are doing. And I'll tell you what, myself personally, I would probably be making that pit stop right around lap 50 and then going from there the rest of the way. And Tyler Honeycutt still keeping that 2-second gap on first and third as Bobby Mantle is fighting for second place now. Tanner's under fire. And Tanner is going to concede second place. And I'll tell you what, Bobby is always going to put himself in the front. That's one thing about Bobby. And I'll tell you what, a good driver is always going to get his way to the front towards the end of a race. And that's what Bobby's always going to do. As we're looking at John Howard up 7 positions right now. And he's finally able to crack that top 10. And he's right there at 7 places right now. So good job on John Howard. Dale Ross, I tell you what, he's been very quiet here. And he's up to P6 right now, up 5 positions from the start. And I'll tell you another one too. Josh Kirsch, he has been doing a phenomenal job. He's up to P5 now. and he's looking to have a very, very strong finish from last week. I knew he was going to be a very dominant driver when I first met with him. Uh-oh, looks like we have someone coming down pit road next time. So what guys will do is they'll jump down to the bottom on the backstretch just to give guys that signal. They're going down pit road as we have Tyler Honeycutt going down, our leader, and Bobby getting a huge gain on Tyler going down pit road. What the heck happened there? How was he able to close that gap? Oh, Tyler took it extremely slow going down there. And he just erased his 2-second lead. I'll tell you what, that's the worst thing that you want as a leader, is when you have built up such a huge lead on that green flag run, just for it to be gone in seconds going down pit road. And I'll tell you what, that's gonna pay really big dividends for Michael Hayes, as he's finally caught up to his brother. Now, will his brother let him get it on by, or will his brother hold him up? And I'll tell you what, if I'm Stephen Hayes, I'm gonna hold my brother up. I don't care that he's my brother. I know he's been a little bit stronger, but what you want is you want to have him waste those tires. And it's like Costner's over here making a pass. Racing very hard. It's like him and Tyler Honeycutt are going at it. And I'll tell you what, Tyler Honeycutt has pretty much just literally erased his whole lead that he had going into the pit road. And now he's put himself in a small deficit here. Let's see how he handles it. I know he's really good on the long run, but that completely hurt his pit strategy. And as we have a new leader now, Stephen Hayes, who's definitely under fire. And, oh, we have a potential 3 wide here. And I'll tell you what, that 79 of Stephen Knight wants to unlap himself. But I know he wants to let these guys race as well. And Bobby Knight, oh my goodness, Bobby Manson wants to unlap himself too, but he's racing around he's getting ready to get up to his other teammate. And I'll tell you who's really going at it right now, John Howard and Stephen Knight. They're trying to race each other, but they're trying to get around the leaders as well. So we have 2 major races going on here, and I will not be surprised if I see a 3 wide here shortly. And that's the worst thing that happens when you get put in a predicament like that, when you want to get around the leader, but you're also taking fire because you want to get that lucky dog spot. And it looks like Bobby Mantle is going to say, I don't care, I'm getting my lap back, I'm getting around these guys, I'm going to put a 3 wide if I have to. And that's what I like to see from Bobby, and a good aggressive move. Michael is finally around Stephen Hayes, and almost 3 wide going into the tri-oval. And they should see themselves single filing out. And looks like Stephen Hayes might have a run going into turn 3. And I'll tell you what, they're going to be on each other's bumper for a while. Now, if Stephen Hayes, he needs to lock in, save tire, and make sure he can keep it to the end. But he keeps almost hitting that wall coming out of turn 3 and going into turn 1. That's going to be something that he's going to have to look out for moving forward. And I'll tell you what, there is an 8-second lead with Michael Hayes and Stephen Hayes to Chad McGinley. But Chad McGinley is starting to evaporate that 8-second lead. Donnie Honeycutt, our race winner from last week, down pit road. He's been down pit road for the last 3 minutes. I can imagine he's getting a lot of damage repaired. He really needs a strong finish from the win that he had last week tonight. So hopefully he can get back out there and get a lot finished. Looks like Stephen Hayes was able to pass Michael Hayes again, take back that lead. And we have Mike Hayes going down pit road. And oh my goodness, I can't imagine Michael Hayes going down pit road again. I wonder if he has damage, or is he just getting that second stop out the way? I can imagine that's going to be very detrimental, because I'm pretty sure Tyler and the rest of that top 8 that stayed out is going to make it a 1 pit stop race. So we'll see how this plays out. Stephen Hayes is going in again as well. I can't imagine the pit strategy on this, but we'll see how this plays out for these guys on the long run. Hopefully they're making the right decision. It looks like Donnie Honeycutt's back on the track now. Gonna have a strong rebound as he's battling with Carlos Enriquez. And we have a new race leader, Chad McGinley. We'll see how that pays off. Danny White is up to P2, and I'll tell you what, he's been a silent assassin. He's currently making his way up to P2 now. And we'll see if he's able to hunt down Chad McGinley. And Chad McGinley coming down pit road. And I gotta tell you, these guys that stayed out past lap 50, I don't know what that's gonna do. If those guys can make it to the end, I can only imagine a 1-stop race is way better than a 2-stop race. And Tyler Honeycutt is slowly catching our race leader, Danny White. But the race, his lead is not safe because Tanner is right behind him, as well as JJ McCoy. And I'll tell you what, I don't know what happened, but Bobby Mantle, when he came down pit road, he was right behind Tyler Honeycutt, and he's just lost that pack. And we'll see what happens. Hopefully he's able to rebound, and we'll figure out what's going on there. And right now with Danny White, these guys are just closing in on Danny White now. And I can just imagine Danny White's just gonna let these guys get through. Well, right now, with Tyler Honeycutt has been probably the strongest car, one of the strongest cars on that good pit strategy. on that one-stop pitch strategy. So we'll see how that plays out. If he has enough to make it to the end, which I can imagine he does, but it should be a stretch. But if he saves, he should be able to make this a one-stop race. And I'm really impressed with Tanner Coster, free agent. He's looking to make his way into trucks, and this is going to be a really good signing for whoever wants to pick him up. In his debut race, running P2, very dominant race car all night. And I'll tell you another one. JJ McCoy has been phenomenal. Under fire by his teammate Chad McGinley behind him. I'll tell you what, Chad wants to get around these guys as soon as possible. You can't wait, Chad. Chad, that's one thing you can't do. You can't wait. And as it looks like we're getting a signal from the 64 Danny White as he's coming down pit road this time by. Oh, no, he does not come. He gives the signal, does not come down. Chad McGinley, there he goes. I can imagine that he's praying that these guys come down pit road and don't make it a one-stop race. Looks like we have Justin LeBlanc going down pit road, as well as Carlos and Chase. And I'll tell you what, guys, we're at the lap 72 mark. It's been a green flag race this whole time. And surprisingly, because these guys have been racing extremely hard, and we've seen a lot of different pitch strategy, and it's going to be a fun one to see how this race turns out. And as you see that, Tyler Honeycutt's starting to put a little bit of a gap on Tanner Coster. JJ McCoy starting to slowly catch Tanner, so we're going to see how this battle for P2 plays out. And I'll tell you what, Josh Kirsch is making a huge statement race now from last week. Last week he didn't have a good race, got involved in a few wrecks, but he's sitting here at P4 now, looking to have a strong finish and have a good points day. Dale Ross, I'll tell you what, he's putting together a good race as well. Sitting P5 currently. Sitting back looking at John Howard up in that P7 position, he hasn't really been able to crack that top 5, but we'll see what happens. There's a lot more racing left to go, 26 laps left, and we'll see what he can do. And just outside the top 10 is Ron Harrington. Ron Harrington is putting together a very good race after he had a top 5 last week. Hopefully he can crack that top 10. And Dwayne Honeycutt, just at that 10th place cut line. Very strong race from the race that he had last week. And he's on par to get himself a nice top 10 finish. And as we see Tyler just showing why he's been the class of the field all day on that bottom line, and he has not taken that top line. And that's what I like about Tyler. He's been very hard set on that bottom line, and he's sticking to it. And oh, we have contact of the 7 car who hits the wall, JJ McCoy, and I can't imagine that's going to do him any justice as he's going to drop down. He was putting together a great race. Let's take a look at that. I just don't know what happened. I just sometimes you just get tunnel vision going in and you just kind of forget where you are on the track and you just clobber the wall. And it just looks like that's what happened there. And I can imagine he's probably going to be under fire at some point from Dale Ross and Bobby Mantle. And that's one guy you can never forget is Bobby Mantle. And oh, we have the 98 in the wall. Alexander Cohen, I tell you what, he's just been having a rough race this week. He's been having a rough race tonight. And hopefully he's able to rebound. He's sitting at that P20. Let's check in on Chad McGinley. Chad McGinley is able to make that pass on, I believe, Stephen Knight. Stephen Knight is up 9 positions, but he's starting to drop out of the top 10. I'll tell you what, Tyler's up to another 2-second lead after he had that a little bit of a mistake going in on pit road, but he was able to grow his lead up to another 2-second lead. And we'll see what happens with 19 laps to go. And I'll tell you what, JJ McCoy starting to fall back after he took that damage. And pretty soon he's going to be under fire from Bobby Mantle. I'll tell you what, Danny White has unfortunately dropped back. He was having a good race in the middle of the race, but we'll see if he can hold on to it and bring her home. But the class of the field all day has just been Tyler Honeycutt from start to finish. Oh, a little bit of contact between Alexander Cohen and Michael Hayes, but they're able to get around each other just fine. I know Michael Hayes is trying to hurry up and catch up to his brother. And they're sitting him right now, Michael and Steven, who've been riding around pretty much in the top 3 all day, are currently P8 and P9. Trying to catch that 78 of John Howard. And Bobby Mantle has caught JJ McCoy and a little teammate racing there. We'll see how that goes. And I can just imagine that damage that JJ McCoy has is just gonna give Bobby that. He's just gonna give Bobby that position. As we take a look at Dale Ross, a great race, up 7 positions. Phenomenal, phenomenal race tonight by Dale Ross. And we have a driver down pit road, Stephen Knight. I can imagine you don't want to be the car pitting on the 13 laps left to go. But we'll see how this plays out. He might not have had enough fuel, but it looks like he is taking tires, surprisingly. Usually, like, we're coming down 13 laps to go. You're just taking fuel and go, maybe 2, and then you're out of there. Tyler Honeycutt almost up to a 3-second lead. Barring anything catastrophic. We'll see what happens, but you never know in these type of races. It can go green all day, and then on the white flag go, that caution comes up and makes it an interesting race. And then your whole pit strategy changes, and everything goes out the window. And I'll tell you what, Bobby Mantle is driving like a madman right now. He's driving like a madman. He's currently up in top 5. Just 20 laps ago, he was outside the top 10. I'll tell you what, that's one thing about Bobby and Chad. They're always going to make their way up to the front. Unfortunately, though, with Chad, after that green flag pit stop, he just wasn't able to pan out for him. And he just wasn't able to make his way up to the front. And yep, now Tyler Honeycutt is up to a huge lead, a 3.3 second lead over Tanner and Josh. And as you see, JJ starting, Josh McCoy starting to drop even more. Hopefully, he's able to come away with the top 10. With all that damage, and that's one thing you just hate to see is if a driver who puts together a strong race throughout the whole race just makes a small mistake. And that might cost them that P3, top 5. Stephen Hayes to the inside of Josh McCoy. As you see Tanner Coster over there getting by Ronald Holmes. Ronald Holmes, who's currently sitting at P15, is currently in the lucky dog position. Looks like everything's starting to pan out. And I'll tell you what, Tyler's just increasing that lead. He's almost up to a 4-second lead now on the second place of Tanner Coster. Tell you what, I know Del Ross wants to get up to Josh Kirsch bumper and get that P3 position, as well as Bobby Mantle. Now this is what I really want to know. With 5 laps to go, Will Tyler be able to make it to the end? That was just the biggest thing is can you make this a one pit stop race? And will these guys save? And just having a 4 second lead now on second place. The biggest question that I have is you gotta imagine, guys, is if Tyler Honeycutt is saving enough fuel. Up to P6, John Howard, barely outside of the top 5, putting together a great race, up 8 positions from start. Tell you what, it's been a rough night for Donnie Honeycutt, but from winning last week to last place this week currently, I'm going to look for a strong rebound from him next week for week 3. And 2 laps to go. It will be 1 lap to go come to the line. And I will tell you what, he has been phenomenal all day. He's been the class act at saving tires at this track. I'll tell you what, Tyler has shown a lot of growth in these cars, and he's been one who loves these cars. And the newest driver, as you see him rocking that Hypershift Motorsports. And I'll tell you what, Donnie Honeycutt has been a great driver all day as he comes across the checkered flag to win at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Congratulations. And in P2, we're going to have Tanner Coster. P3 is going to be Josh Kirsch, followed by Dale Roche in 4th place. Bobby Mansell taking home 5th place. That's going to round out the top 5 right there. Phenomenal race as we keep it green the whole entire time. That is such a phenomenal race from these drivers. These drivers done a phenomenal time as we see Tyler Honeycutt. Great job today. I thought he's going to have some trouble after he gave up that lead going down the pit road. But he showed all day that he was just phenomenal saving tire. And oh, we have the Honeycutts burning out with them. That's what you like to see. That's what you like to see. These guys having fun and letting it burn until that motor goes out. Awesome job. As you have Michael Hayes burning out as well. And the crazy thing, and the good thing is I believe it or not, I believe Tyler is one of Michael Hayes' newest drivers going into next season's truck season. So definitely good job on those guys. And good job to Tyler Honeycutt. As you see Donnie Honeycutt burning it out of there as well, as there's a lot of carnage going on. And good race. Good race. So let's go ahead and go through. Let's go ahead and go through our race results. So we have Tyler Honeycutt taking home first place, as well as Tanner Coster coming home in P2, followed by Josh Kirsch in P3, Dale Ross P4, P5 coming in with Bobby Mantle, P6 John Howard, P7 Stephen Hayes, P8 Michael Hayes, P9 JJ McCoy, P10 Chad McGinley, P11 Dwayne Honeycutt, P12 Danny White, P13 Justin LeBlanc, P14 Michael Dow, P15 Ron Harrington, P16 Mark Shearwood, P17 Carlos Henriquez, P18 Chase Albright, and P19 Stephen Knight, and P20 Alexander Cohen. P21 is going to be Donnie Honeycutt. Phenomenal race here, guys. These guys put on a huge show today. Fantastic job from these guys. And we will get going with our driver interviews. So we are going to get our P3. We're going to bring Josh. All right, Josh Kirsch, this is Joshua Slade in the booth. Do you have a copy?
Hey, Josh, I got you.
Hey, before I go any farther, am I saying your last name right? How do you pronounce your last name?
Kirsch, yeah.
Okay, there we go. I just want to make sure I wasn't butchering it. Phenomenal race from you tonight. I know you had a rough race last week at Daytona. How were you able to bounce back this week? What was your mentality going into this race this week?
You know, I just figured it was a different track with the super speedway, just bad luck there. And then this week, I don't know, I tried to attack early and then kind of get in a rhythm there and then do the one stop strategy. And, yeah, it just ended up working out for me. Yeah, it was a good race. Fun to go green all 100 laps. That was pretty awesome.
Yes, sir. And how do you plan on building on the momentum for next week?
Yeah, just try to keep at it, keep practicing, and just take it 1 week at a time here.
Yes, sir. Next week we'll be at South Boston Speedway. Hopefully you get a lot of practices that week and expect it to be a phenomenal race. Do you have anyone that you want to shout out?
Just like to shout out the league here and you for broadcasting. I watched it last week. It was a good show, and yeah, just thanks to everyone. It was fun racing with everyone here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You have a thank you, and you have a phenomenal night. Look to see you next week.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. Appreciate it.
That is the 35 of Josh Kirsch, everyone. Phenomenal race from him this week. And let's see if we can get our second place driver, who I doesn't look like we have him here. So we are going to move right along to our first place driver, most dominant driver tonight by far, the 20 of Tyler Honeycutt. Do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Josh. What's up, man?
Yeah, man, you had a phenomenal race last week. How were you able to build on it this week, and what was kind of like your game plan going into the race this week?
Just saving tires, man. I've gotten so much better at saving tires since I have been, and I used to really suck at it. But the whole week I've been, working alongside Carlos. He's been helping me. I've been helping him, and then I've been taking a lot of tips from my brother. He's one of these. He's like an Arca king, I guess you could say. But just practice with Carlos, and tips from my brother. It was just a good win. And how about that Honeycutt back to back? That's what I like to see.
That's what I was just getting ready to bring up. Back-to-back weeks, a Honeycutt has gotten a win in Global Racing League Arca Series. So good job there. And so you mentioned saving tires. How will you be able to pull that over racing in trucks come February?
Just hopefully I'm going to do the same thing. Just do what I've been practicing Just be there late in the race and hopefully go fight for a championship when it's all said and done.
There you go. And now I wanted to talk to you about two things that I saw in the race. So initially in the start of the race, you fell back to P3, and then you were taking fire. What happened there? Walk me through what happened there and how you were able to battle back that through that adversity.
Yeah. I just Stephen Hayes. He was catching me a little bit when I was in the lead, and I was letting him know, hey, when you get to me, just go low. Um, I don't want to battle. I'm just trying to save tires. And when I went to go up just a little bit, my right rear caught the wall. And you know how these things get stuck to the wall, and it just sucked me into the wall. So I fell back to P3, and then Tanner got me for P3, so I went back to P4. And then after that, it was just full save mode. In about 15, 20 laps, I was able to get around, pretty much all three of them. And then when I saw them going into pits on lap 35, without a caution, I knew I had them if I could just save my tires how I have been.
Yes, sir. And you making that one stop race, that paid huge dividends because I know it was a gamble, but it looks like Stephen Hayes and Michael Hayes took that two-stop approach, and it looks like that ended up costing them that race. But another thing I wanted to talk to you about is going in on that first stop, you had a 2-second lead going in, but then Bobby Mantle was able to completely obliterate that 2-second lead that you had going into pit road. So can you kind of like tell me like what happened going into there and how were you able to battle back through that?
Yeah, just knowing myself, I always do something to blow something, like blow a lead or whatever, or blow a race. So I told myself I was not going to speed. So I just made sure I was not going to speed. I was a little bit too conservative. Um, but at the end of the day, I didn't speed, and I got the win. And I don't know what happened to Bobby. I think he got a speeding penalty because he just disappeared after that.
Yes. It was a great way to battle back. Next week we are going to be at South Boston Speedway. Can you tell me kind of what preparation that you're going to have going into that going into that track?
Yeah, picking my brother's brain. He is the best I've ever seen in this car at a short track, like that I've ever raced against. So I will be picking his brain all week and just putting in some laps, and hopefully I can do something there. I'm not as confident in myself at short tracks as I am these mile and a halves, um, but hopefully just going into there, I'm just gonna learn what my brother can teach me and maybe get another one.
And your brother is our former Arca League champion, DJ Honeycutt. And I'll tell you what, that guy is probably one of the best I've ever seen race these Arca cars, and he's a phenomenal insight to get. But Tyler, is there anyone that you want to shout out after this phenomenal, completely dominant win that you had tonight?
Yeah, man, just the whole Ghost Motorsports crew, my dad, my uncle, glad they were able to race with me again. Michael Hayes, um, love racing with that dude. He's a nut. Just makes me laugh throughout the whole race, keeps me on my toes. And yeah, just the whole Ghost Motorsports crew and everybody in the race. Actually, that was one of the best races I've ever seen in an ARCA race, or just in an iRace race in general. There was good competition, great battles, and it was clean. I want to thank the other admins that do all this work that we do. And I want to thank you for putting on these great shows and all the work you've done, man. It's just nice to have
Yes,
all
I
the whole
appreciate
crew
that.
together.
Yes, sir. Yes. Last question before I go. I know I'm taking up a lot of your time. I know you want to celebrate with your team, but you and Michael had two different pit strategies. What was kind of like the conversation there? Did y'all just want to work together, or was it just everyone for themselves?
I was telling no one what I was doing going into this race. I knew exactly what I was going to do, and I told no one. Well, I told Carlos because I've been, coaching him, helping him out. I told Carlos what I was going to do, but then everybody on my channel was talking about, hey, let's go on 35. I can't turn anymore, and I'm sitting there riding that white line. I'm like, I'm turning all I can want right now. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, yeah, y'all do that. And then they all went into pit, and I stayed out, ran those extra 15 laps, and this is the first time a strategy went my way.
I'll tell you what. Now that's one thing that kind of differed from what you were doing from all the other drivers. You were driving that bottom line the whole time. The other drivers are drifting up, taking that high line, just looking for grip, and that was one thing I feel like that you were able to do, saving tires down there, is just keep that bottom. and you were very stubborn up to that bottom line, and very dominant race from you, man. Again, congratulations on the win tonight. Congratulations to the Honeycutt family. I know they're probably out there watching. Definitely dominant season from you guys, and I hope you all the best luck moving forward.
All right, Josh. Thank you. We're gonna go out here and Honeycutt's gonna win every single race.
There you go. All right, you have a nice one, Tyler.
Hey, man. You have a good one.
All right, guys, that does it for week 2 of the Global Racing Arca Series. It was a phenomenal race tonight. Very clean race tonight. And as we get down to the nitty-gritty of the season, I can't imagine we'll see any more races like this, because there's going to start being more take and no give as we get down to the end of the season. I'd like to shout out all the drivers that came out tonight. Phenomenal job. And it was a great race to watch. Next week, we will be at South Boston Speedway doing 150 laps there. It's going to be a phenomenal short track. Expect to see a lot of action, a lot of tempers flare, a lot of cautions, and a lot of good racing. And that's what we pride ourselves here. And so, this is Josh Slade in the booth with Global Racing Motorsports Network. You guys have a good night, and thank you for watching.